Welcome to You Can Do It. So this, we're looking at an alternator and how to check your alternator that hasn't worked. So basically the story with this one was the red light came on the dashboard. Short of time, I just bought myself this new Heller alternator, replaced the alternator, and now, or Lick machine in German. Now I've got a few minutes and I'm going to quickly see if I can test this and find out what's wrong with it and if it's a quick and easy fix or not. So this alternator in here is actually the original one that came off of the vehicle. This is off a VWT 5.0. So this was the original one, 14 volt, 180 amp, and I think that presumably second month of 14, which would fit with. So this is the original one here. Now VW wanted €900. Ouch, for a new one of these. So I just thought I'd have a quick look and see about seeing what is wrong with this. Because normally the windings don't go. It's normally something that's the rectifier in here or something. So let's just start straight away. So this is the pulley, and it does have a clutch on it. Now it could have been the belt that was a problem, but I used the same original belt on the new alternator and it's all working fine. So it wasn't the belt, which would lead me to believe that it wasn't also, this wasn't making a noise, so it wasn't this clutch. But to check, you can take this little plastic cover off here. I just need a screwdriver for that. I'll take that plastic cover off and we'll just check inside. Cover's off, look. It looks all nice and clean in there. It's not all, because if sometimes if these go, it can all be full of rust and crap in there. But that's all totally solid on there. So unless there's a bit of a noise from the bearings, but nothing catastrophic, so it's not a bearing failure. I mean, I will, in this process, I will replace the bearings anyway, because then I've got myself a spare one should the next VW we get have a problem. Yeah, there's a bit of a noise on there. Okay, so what we can do is take this cover off, which covers the rectifier. Here you've got a positive, which is actually how it magnifies itself. So it takes the charge from the battery across here, which magnifies the coil, which then creates a magnet. So as that spins, it creates alternating current, which is why it's called an alternator. And the rectifier is what converts the alternating current into DC, because your car's obviously running on DC. Okay, so what normally goes is the alternator, the rectifier, or something in the circuit. Now this cover, we can just put a screwdriver under here, I think, and just pull that off. So the cover's off. We'll put that down there. So now we've got here, so this is the positive terminal. Yeah, so these are all windings. This one, and this one. So we can put tests across there just to check that they're all good. This is the rings under here, and this will be the rectifier. So what I can do, we can undo that, and then I think this whole thing comes off. So I've got an impact here, so let me just undo those. I've done those loosely. They'll come off. This one here comes off. There we are. Yeah, look, and this comes off. Let me just get that off with two hands. Well, you can see you slip your rings there, look, and you can see there's a lot of, look at all that. A lot of dust. Then you've got your brushes in here. So I need to just check that those brushes are okay, but they could have been worn as well. They might need replacing. I'm just going to clean that up, and then we'll try and do some tests on it. Brushes, there's two sets of brushes up there. You can see two there. Now the bottom one isn't really coming out very far. The top one there doesn't look like it's coming out very far. And the telltale sign is, if you look at here, look, you can see that this one is copper coloured, so it's been rubbing against it. This one is black, which I think that means it's the brush. Sorry, the brush has not been rubbing against that. So I wouldn't mind betting that is the problem with the alternator, because it suddenly stopped working, which could be just that brush there. Look, you can see the bits of all sorts of stuff in there. There we are, look. You see, look, you've got brushes here. This one's coming out. That one, but the one at the bottom behind there is stuck in. So I've got a feeling that's been the problem with it. Anyway, let's do some tests and see what happens. And you see, the reason why a lot of these alternators are exchanged is because you've got companies that will basically just take this, clean this all up, rectifier and brushes, and new bearings, and then just sell it back to you. Easy money. when your alternator goes, you generally haven't got time to sit and refurbish this, but there is a very good chance that you can do this yourself. So I'm almost betting that that's been the problem. The brush has not been rubbing on there, which is why it's black, and it should be a more copper colour. What we'll do is we'll do a full clean up of this and change the bearings, clean it up, put it back, and we've got a working alternator. And now these, I don't know whether we can get these on the internet. I'm going to have a look and see if I can find a new one on the internet, or just, I think we can, I'll have a go at splitting this and see if we can just put some new brushes in it even. So again, this has got a date of the 8th month, is it 13? So that's telling you that this is the original alternator from the date of manufacturer. And I think this vehicle's done 330,000 kilometres. So not bad. And I think, well, we can service this and it'll go for again for another 300,000. Whether the rest of the vehicle will is another question. Okay, look. Okay, you can see there that it's a 254264. And I've just had a look on the internet and I can pick one of these up for about 40 euros. So I can get a whole brand new one with brand new brushes for about 40 euros. So if I put that on there, that'll have that alternator running a treat. And then if I put new bearings in it, probably bearings for 5 quid each, 10 quid, 50 euros, I've got a new alternator. So let's carry on. But you can find these on the internet. You just look for that number there. You can order it as a total, or I'll try and split it and see if I can take just the brushes. So that's off, you see. And you can see the telltale sign was that's black there, look, which tells me the bottom one is rubbing nicely, but the top one hasn't been doing it, which is why the thing obviously stopped working. So I'm looking quite forward to this. We can just get this all fixed up and I've got a spare one. Right, so I've done a little bit of reading about these. Okay, so just to reiterate, the brushes have gone. You can buy yourself a complete new one of these. So I'm just going to replace the brushes in there, which I've ordered a kit, including new slip rings. So I'm going to do a full service on this alternator so that anyone wishing to do that can do the same. I mean, you might need to replace all that I'm replacing or just some of it, but you can see exactly what to do. So we've got bearings we're going to replace, we've got the brushes we're going to replace, plus I'm going to replace the slip rings, which are basically, if you take that off there, they're the slip rings down there, but they're already really worn. So it would work with new brushes now, but I'm going to put this back to basically the spec of a brand new alternator, so it'll go for at least another 300,000 kilometres or whatever before it breaks. Okay, so the way we get these things apart is we need to take this off. So you need a special spline tool to go in there and take that off, which I've got on order. You need to take that off to get this end off. Right, now that I've also found out that this clutch, this should be a clutch, and it's seized solid. So what that will do is over time it will mess up your tensioner. So we need to replace that with a new one, because it should be clutched, so it should go one way but not the other. It should be freely run one way but not the other, but it's seized on there. Okay, so I've got a tool coming for that. So the next thing is we need to dismantle the two halves. Now you've got a rectifier here, which is all built in, and it's soldered here, or clipped here, and here to these the coils, right? So if you were to try and undo these 4 bolts there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and pull, you'll end up destroying these because these are connected. So what we have to do is disconnect these. Now I've done this one here, look. As you can see, this is now not connected. Yeah. So what I actually did was got a pair of pliers in there and just gently cut down there and then peel them off either side. So let me do that to all 3. I'll be back in a second. There, yeah. See? Splits it apart, and then you can use a screwdriver just to lever those out. So let me do those, and then so those 3 are all off, not connected at all. So now we can undo these 4 bolts and take those out. I've undone those 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put them in a little packet, right? So then this, we should then just gently be able to tap these 2 apart. So that all came off there. That's everything's come off there, including that. So I can clean that up now. So that can all be cleaned up. So now look here, see you've got your bearing here. That's pretty shot. That's a 6202. So it's a 6202 RS. Now, these are your slip rings, which we need to replace that as well. Okay, so now we can't split this down anymore because obviously we've got to get the thing off the other end, which is still on there. So I'm going to just sort of carry on working on this end. So now what we're going to do is pull the bearing off with a bearing puller. Then we're going to try and get these slip rings off. All right, I've got my little bearing puller on there and I'm pulling it away. Look, and that bearing's coming off. So I'll keep turning that and I'll pull that bearing right off there. So the bearing's there, it's cleaned up. It's a 6202 DWS. So I'm just going to buy a couple more replacements for those, but that's well and truly shot. So it's actually pretty good that this alternator went, because now I've replaced it with a new one, but this one I can completely fully refurbish back to a new alternator. So we're going to get 2 new bearings. So this is the slip ring here now. So if you can see here, we can get spare ones to put back. We've got to separate it from here and here. So what we need to do is chip off this sort of like Harald eye, but be careful because there's a cable going down there. So we just need to sort of chip, not in the centre, but away from it. So let me chip a little bit, and then I'll come back. When you're chipping away, look very gently. Look, you can see that wire there. So that's what you'll be careful not to hit. So that wire basically just comes through here, and then just sort of it's folded around there. So now I can sort of try and break that off either side and get that clear. And we do the same on there. So what I've actually found was the quickest and easiest way, and it only takes a few minutes, is I've got a punch here somewhere just to chip that away so I get close to it. So I'll do the same to that side in a minute once I get that clear. Look there, you've got that little wire there, look. And this just folds over the top and then sort of folds over the top and folds around. So we just peel that off. So we'll do exactly the same on the other side, and then we can slip that ring off. Put a new one on, connect that all up, and then put some Harald eye around. Okay, look, we've got that one off and this one off. Look, I broke off some of the plastic thing there, but that's not a problem. So you just need to have these little 2 wires sticking out there. And they mustn't touch this outer frame, but that's fine. And then we can now try and take this slip frame off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze that and then try and pull that off in the vise. I've got one copper ring off, and there wasn't a lot left in there, so it wasn't worth running that without putting a new one on. So then I'm just going to do the same and pull the next 2 off. All right, I've pulled that off there. I managed to just hold that like that and then smack it up here with a hammer, and that's come off. We have to wait for the new ones to arrive. So yeah, look, it hasn't taken long at all. So yeah, looking forward to this. See if we can get this going. So what we'll do now is we'll get some emery paper and just or a wire brush and just clean up these terminals for when we connect them up again. All right, I can just do a quick continuity to check that there should only be continuity between the end of that wire and the end of that wire. Continuity between the 2 ends, and one end and just the frame. At one end and there, I get nothing, and the other end, and there I get nothing. So basically, it means that there's a unique circuit between that end of that end of that. Okay, so that's about it now. I'm just going to clean these up, and then we can just wait for the new bits to arrive. They've arrived. Here I've got my new slip rings and brushes. So what we'll do is we'll take out the slip ring. I take that out there. Well, they're the new ones. Well, you see they've got those bits there, so you could just clamp up on those wires. I might drop a bit of solder on there just to make sure. But first of all, I'm just going to check that there's no problems check that the rings are continuity, and then we'll put this on. Okay, they're good. I've just checked the continuity, so they're all nice and good. So make sure that that's all cleaned up here, and then we can put this on. You see they go in the grooves there, like that. And now gently, I need to get a soft hammer and a piece of wood, and just gently tap that down and make sure it goes over that wire. Make sure that wire's straight. So in fact, I'll get a pair of pliers and straighten those wires up. That's straight. I've straightened up with a pair of pliers, straight. So I'll put this on here now, and I'm just going to gently tap that down. Okay, that's down there. I just put a screwdriver handle on there and then just tapped it with a soft mallet. So you can see that's over there perfectly. So I can just nip that together and tighten that up. And I can just do the same again with a pair of pliers there and nip that up. And then what we can do is put some araldite in. Now I might put some solder on there, but they weren't soldered to start with, so let me see. So I'm just going to get some pliers and crimp them up, and then we'll do a continuity test here to make sure that the coil and everything, there's no problems with that. Okay, look, I've crimped them up there and there. I've actually found these pliers were brilliant. These are actually circlip pliers, but because they're curved, they're brilliant to go around there and cramp up underneath. So it's a good little tip there for you. So they're good. So what I'm going to do is now just do a continuity test. When that's done, we'll mix up some araldite and put that back on. Okay, I've got a continuity tester on here, look. Yeah, it works there. To the ring, top ring, bottom ring, that side, and just make sure there's nothing. Yeah, look. So that's okay. So that's good. So what I'm going to do, actually, I don't think I'm even going to bother soldering it. I'm going to, because it wasn't soldered before, I'm going to make sure they're nipped up good, and then I'm going to mix up some araldite, and we'll put that over there. Right, I've soldered that one up there. I've soldered the other one, look, and I've just mixed araldite up there. Look, and I've put some over that side, and I'll do the same over this side here now. And then this is all basically done, and I need to just push the new bearing in when that arrives. So that's done there. Same on the other side. We'll just let that set, and that's all done. So then basically the rotor's all sorted out. I've just got to wait for the bits to take the pulley and the other bearing off on the other side, and we can all put it back together. Okay, now on to the next bit. We've got our brushes. I've got 4, give me a double set. So we've got to replace these brushes here. So what we have to do here, I mean, that's been soldered there. So what we need to do is grind out the back of that with a little, you can either use a file or something. I'm just going to use a burr or a drill. I'm just going to grind that off. Okay. I mean, you could put a big soldering on there now and heat that up and then pull those brushes out. I just want to grind them off a little bit. So let me do that now. Right, look, I've got a burr on the drill there. I'm just going to sort of grind that down. Right, just to show you what's happened, look, I've ground it there, and you can see 2 rounds. So they're basically look, this is a round one there and a round one there. So I'm just going to get my soldering iron and put that on there, and I should be able to pull those out. Okay. I just put the soldering iron on the back of there, look, got hot, and then of course the spring just pulled the brush out, but look at that. So indeed, you can see the difference in length. That was the brush. Look, that's how long it should be. So it's obviously they were completely worn out. So I'm going to do it again with here. I'm going to heat this up with the soldering iron, and then the thing will pop out. All right, so that one's come out as well. I just put the soldering on there, and that pinged out. And then I've just taken a little drill there, look, and just drilled 2 holes in there. And the reason I've done that is so that I can then feed that one back through. So we'll put the springs on there and feed that back through, and then we can just put a little bit of solder on the end of that. I've got the new brush in there and the things in there, so just put it in with the spring, and it takes it's a bit fiddly, but you push it through the hole. So now what I need to do is just hold that there, and I'll just put a bit of solder on the end. No, I'll just let it go, as you can see, and it's disappeared. Okay, I've had what we do in England when we have a problem with a cup of tea. So I've had a good cup of tea, and I've come out with a really good little solution to enable you to solder that without that pinging out while you're doing it. So these little caps, these are the caps that are on the end here, which cover the rings. Some of them have like a bar across them here, so that you've got 2 separate holes for each brush to go through, and some don't. But this one had a separate one, had a bar across there, but I just cut that off with a pair of electrical snip. So that's just a complete space down there. Now, if you don't do that, when you try and put your new brushes, when you try and put that, you can't just slide that on over your brushes, because you'll obviously break one of them. So anyway, I've taken some pliers and I'll snip that off. But then what you can do is you can have that like that. Right, we'll just do one at a time for simplicity's sake. Then you can put that back on, oh, and the brush hits there. So you know that brush it's not come out. It's yeah, and then that's stuck there like that, stuck at the right position. So now that's all nice and easy, dead simple, just to get your soldering iron and heat that up and put a bit of solder on that. So I'll do that one first, and then I'll go and do the next one. Well, I can do them both at the same time if I want, but it's just in fact, let's try and do that. I want to try and stick this one in, and I've got them both sticking out. All right, I tried the both, and then the top one fell out, so I'm just going to solder this one in here. I'm just going to get my soldering on there, and I'll be back in a sec. I've got a nice little bubble on there, so that's nicely sealed. So I'm now going to go and do the other one. See, so that one's in there. So I'm just going to put this one back in. Okay, so I'm just going to thread this one through here. In there. It's a case of messing around until the thing pokes through. There we are, straight through. So if I hold my finger in there like that, I'll just hold that like that, and then we can. I mean, it's the wrong way around, but it doesn't matter because I'm not assembling it. We can put this cap on like that, look. Let go. There we are. She's on. So now I can just go and solder that side. So I'm just going to heat my soldering iron up, and I'll solder that. Alright, so those two are done nicely, yeah? So now what I can do is just get some pliers and cut those off. And then what I'm going to probably do is get my glue gun and just put, I'm just going to put a big dollop of glue on there, plastic glue, just to protect that. I think that's so it doesn't short out against anything. And then that's all ready to go back. Alright, they're cut off there. So I've just got my glue gun here heating up, and then I'll put a dollop of glue here on that bottom one there. Alright, there, I've got a dollop on there. So that's good enough. So that's now all ready to go back on. So let's move on to the other side. Let's get some bearings changed. Okay, one thing here while we got this off, before we put this alternator back on the car, remember it was really tight, and you usually have to lever it off to get it off. And that's because these bushes here, these bushes in here, when you buy the alternator, they're way out, and then you pull it up tight when you actually assemble the alternator so it fits your car perfectly. So what you can do before you start putting this back, because you'll end up fighting away, is get an 18mm socket. Yeah, put that over there like that. And you've got two choices. You can either put a bolt in there with a washer on it and screw that up and pull that through, or you just simply put it in a vise like that, clamp it like that, and it'll push it out. So you can see, look, I've done it for this one here. Sorry for the shades, guys. I've done it for that one there, look. And you can see, look, you see there's a little mark there. You can see it's pushed out a couple of mil. Just needs to be a couple of millimeters, and then it will fit back on your car a lot easier. Otherwise, you'll be struggling away, swearing. And then when you put the bolt through and you tighten it up, it will pull it back again. Okay, so just remember 18mm socket, or whatever fits your, put the socket over there, clamp it in the vise to push it back, or put a bolt through there with a washer and screw it up, which will have the same effect and pull that through. Okay. All right, I actually put this in the vise and squeezed it, and then I used torque bit in the end there, and you turn it clockwise. But if you're going to turn the centre bit, and this is held stationary, you need to turn the centre shaft clockwise. Look, and then this. So I've got this. Now I've got a new one of these in order, but I just got a bit impatient and thought, well, I'll take this off now. So that's seized and stuff. So now what we need to do is press this out. This is obviously setting a bearing, and that bearing is held in place by a little thin plate, which is, these are the back of the bolts. They're bolted up from inside, but you can't get to that because you've got the rotor in the way. Now you have to support this in a vise on this frame here. Make sure you don't do it on the metal frame of here, but you just do it on this aluminium frame here. So I've got that supported there and there, and I'm going to tap that down and try and push that out. Okay, so I've got my big puller on here. I've got it on the casing. I'm going to push that and try and push that through. Right, that came out nicely. That worked fine. So that pushed that out. So now we can look down in here. You can see that's the bearing holder there, which is a plate with four bolts. I'll take those out now, and then probably what I'll have to do is just push that out from there. But actually that bearing is actually really interestingly is in a good condition. So actually it's the rear bearing that was completely shot. That must be because of all the dust from the brushes or something. I don't quite know. Maybe it runs hotter or something. Anyway, I'm going to undo those 4 bolts. then we'll push that bearing. Right, those 4 screws are all loose, so I'll take them out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the plate comes off, look. Put that there. There's 1 screw down in there, it's 4 now. Right, so look, we've got the bearing there. Now that, it's a much bigger bearing than the rear one, which is probably why it's still in good condition. So let me clean that up and I'll give it a test. I'll just use that in the centre there. Let's push that out. So I'll get that bearing now and clean it all up and we'll see what bearing that is. Oh, there it is. Tells you there. So that is a 6303. Yeah, it's a much bigger bearing. It's got to take a lot of force for a long time, but that's actually, I think, all right. But let me, now that I've actually pushed it out from the centre, I'll probably need to buy a new one anyway. So I'll clean that up and have a look. Okay, so it's a 6303 and a 6202. Both of them are RS, which basically means that they're sealed on both sides. So that one actually is all right, but I'm going to order a new one. So I've got 2 new bearings on order. So that's this project stalled until the bearings arrive. Okay, bearings have arrived from the courtesy of the internet, and then also the new clutches arrived. So we can now start putting it back together. So what I've done, I've got some 400 emery. I just cleaned that up there where the bearing slides on, and the bearing slides on tight against that. So now we can push that bearing onto there, but we can't do that obviously with it in situ like that. We need to actually put the bearing in there and then slide it down onto there. So what I'm going to do, just to make sure that's seated, I'm going to just put that bearing beside it, and I'm going to put a little black mark there so that I know exactly where it is. All right, that's marked. That's basically the width of that bearing. So I just know that the bearing is fully seated. Okay, so now what we can do is take this. Okay, I've got that sat on the vise. Find a socket that fits perfectly. Don't you see that one does? So, and I'll put the bearing there. Put there, and we're just going to gently tap that in from that on using the outer race. So you put a socket over there, and we'll gently tap that on. I'll gently tap that down now. All right, that's in there. Make sure it's nice and flush there, which it is. All right, that bearing has there's a little ridge inside there, so it won't sit completely flush on that side. So that's basically, once that's seated properly, it's completely flat there. All right, so I'll put that back on. We're now going to push. I'm going to push that through into there. Now you can use your vise, or I'm just going to use the hole in there. Put that over like that. Okay, so now put that in there gently. Okay, that's just going in there. Now what we can do, we mustn't hit on top of that plastic. So I'm actually going to put a ball bearing in there, and that'll be a bit high, and then I can tap that and tap that down in. So let me do that now. I've got loads of bearings. I'll just take the bearings out of the old bearings here that are buggered. I'll take the bearings out. They're always good to have some ball bearings. So that ball bearing will sit there. Look, there's a thing there, and it's not going to touch that plastic. And now I can tap on that, and that'll push that down. Right, that's seated in there. Look, you can see the black mark there. Put that on there on the vise. And now what we can do is put the bearing in the other side. So we push the bearing there just by hand. And now I'll find a socket again. We tap on don't tap on the outside race because you damage the bearing. Tap on the inside race because we're pushing, and you just push that down onto so that you don't damage that surface. You can actually put that bearing on there and then tap onto that one there. Find a socket that fits that and tap it down. So I'm going to do that nicely. That's nice and tight. But just obviously make sure that there's enough space for it to go up there. So I'm going to now tap down on that, and we'll push that down until it's onto that surface that it needs to be. Once that gets to a certain point, you need to then take this off because you don't want to drive that down over the top on there. And now I can put that back on and keep tapping it. All right, we've set that to there, look. So you can see that that's right. There isn't a stop there, so don't push that down too far. But you can just see the top of the metal there. So I'm just going to double check that I can put the top bit on and it all clamps up nicely, and it's not going to sort of preload the bearing on the wrong way. So let me just try and fit the top on and check it goes on. I just pushed that down a little bit further because I just checked on the video before I took it off. Well, the video covered me taking it off and it was a little bit further down. So that's good. So now what I'm going to do is put this back on there, make sure I don't get those in the way, and then we're going to put the 4 bolts in. Okay, so now we're just going to test the diodes, yeah? So make sure you set this to diodes on there. So let's try and put this so you can see the screen. There we are, that looks good. Right, so what we do here then basically is you just get your negative and your positive. So basically on that post there, I'm holding it with my hand. Right, then you just go around and touch each of these. So well, that means it's working, okay? I'll turn them around. So we put the negative on the B post. Do it again. There we are, look. 0.559. 0.559. Oh dear. There we are. 0.55. Oh, it's just me. 0.557. Okay, so they're all good. So they should work one way and not the other way. So basically when the negative is on the post, it doesn't. So that's those three done. And then we've got another three on the top side. So remember how it works. If we put the positive on the post and we go around to each one, it should be nothing. Nothing on that one. Nothing on that one. Nothing on that one. If we swap them around now, put the negative on the post, and then we touch these. There we are. 0.556. Put this one here, and that one works. 554. 557. So we tested all that, so that can all go back together again. Right. All right, I've done all that up. That's all nice and tight. Those bolts are tight. So just make sure that it turns freely, which it does look lovely. Doesn't make a single noise now like it did before. Okay, so now what we can do is we can put let's put these on. Okay, so we need to take that cap off and then push the brushes in, slip that on. So let me do that. Okay, while we're here, we just want to check the continuity, make sure everything's good. Continuity between these two. And then make sure that you haven't got continuity between the frame and this and down here, which we haven't. So basically, she's all good. So now I can put the brushes back on. So that's all good on there. Now I've put these here, look, and I've actually, the way I've clamped those back up tight there. So that's good. So then what we're going to do is run some solder on there, and those connections are all good. And you can just check that they all work, which I have. I've checked there's all continuity there, so that's all good. So basically we've done it. So only the last thing to do then is take that. Well, let's just leave it like that on there. So I've just got to put a little socket turned up, which is what you need to put these back on. But I've got a new one here from original, correct one there. So I'll get a little thing there, put that, and even get a little plastic cover, look. So that is the clutch that should work. So if I put that on there like that, it's a normal thread. Before I do that, before you put that on, very important little piece there, put that wash on there. So that allows you to clamp that up tight and not that fitting. So now I can put that socket in like that. Get that in there and put the one in the centre, and I'll tighten that up. I mean, it will tighten itself up because it's on it's on the clutch. So let me just tighten that up, and then basically I'll be back. Okay, that's on there nicely. So then what we've got, when you're in the box, you get a little cap here. So you've got to put your cap on. That just stops all crap and stuff getting. Yeah. All right. So now we can then just put the plastic cover on it. And then it's good to go. It's good to go. So we can do. There's lots of videos out there how to actually test it running, but you need to actually put power in there to charge the actual rotor up, and then you can then spin it, and you can see. But this video has then basically been covering, completely refurbishing and replacing all the moving parts, the bearings and stuff and brushes in your alternator. So there you have it. You've got a refurbished alternator there, ready to go back on your car or go in storage, as this one will do, for the next Next time I need one, because this is the 180 amp one, which goes on lots of VWs, all the way from Golfs, you know, Tourans, Transporters and everything, Audis. So I'm sure I'm going to need it at some point. So that'll go into storage. Okay, hope this video has been useful. Remember, in this channel, you can always do it. If you like the channel, subscribe or send me a comment. See you on the next video. You can do it.